Hey everybody, it's Wayne bringing you guys another options premium update. And yes, I made a big mistake. Let's go ahead and jump right in. I assumed that ELF Beauty was going to beat on their most recent earnings this past week. And a lot of it had to do with limited research on my end. I just looked at this chart and said, wow, look at ELF. They have repeatedly beat on previous earnings going back a year plus. This is a perfect example as to why you cannot look at past performance and assume that you're going to see that continuation in success. And so I decided to sell a cash secured put against ELF leading into the week of earnings. And of course, I'm doing that because I know the amount of premium is going to elevate. So here you have it. On January 31st, I sold a cash secured put against ELF. I chose a strike price of $95, which means I had to have $9,500 in collateral. Now, the expiration date on this contract was 2/7. Earnings was reported the day before. And so because it is earnings week and because you do have elevated IV, I saw premium of $305. I thought this was going to be easy money. And then this is what happens. You can see right here in the last month, this is where I wrote my cash secured put. And here you have on the 6th, this is earnings. And of course, it does not beat. And ELF literally drives off of a cliff, creating a new 52-week low of about $68. And so that puts me in a jam. So at that point, I knew I had made a terrible mistake in assuming that ELF was going to beat. So I really only have three options at this point. Take a look here. Option number one is to take assignment. Now, obviously, my strike price is $95. That means I now own 100 shares at that price point. But given that ELF is now at around $70 per share, I immediately have a built-in unrealized loss, which also makes it very difficult to turn around and sell covered calls at a minimum at my cost basis. And so option one, it's not looking too good. Option two, buy to close for a loss. Now, you got to remember, I received $305 in premium. But in order for me to buy to close, that would have cost me $2,953. If we factor in what I received initially in premium, I would take a loss of over $2,600. Ouch. $2,600 to not own anything in that transaction. And so you guys are probably guessing which option I went with. That's right, option number three, roll down and roll out. So take a look here at your screen. That's exactly what I did. Here is the initial contract that I opened on the 31st. Now on the 7th, clearly ELF drives off of a cliff and I have to quickly react to avoid assignment. So what I decided to do was to roll that position. Remember, when you are rolling, it is a two-leg process. The first leg is right here, where I am buying to close for $2,953, essentially closing out that leg of the contract with the loss. But when you roll, you are simultaneously selling to open a new position. And so unfortunately, in order to earn net premium on this transaction and to get a better strike price, in this case it was $90 per share, I had to roll clear out to December of 2025. So here is my perspective. I would rather take a chance and see whether or not ELF can rebound by the end of the year versus locking in a loss today if I were to buy to close. Now, nobody wants their money to remain on the sideline for 10 plus months, but I want to offer a unique perspective. Take a look here at my net profit on this transaction. Remember, this includes the initial contract. It includes me rolling out, and then I was able to gain net premium when I did that roll. And so right now, between these two contracts, I have netted $549. Well, yeah, $9,000 is tied up until December of this year, but $549 of $9,000 equates to a 6.1% return. And so I'm not thrilled about my decision with ELF, but at the end of the day, if I took that $9,000 and just parked it in a high yield savings account, I would get what? 4.5, maybe 5% APY. I certainly wouldn't get 6.1. And so I'm kind of looking at this transaction, one, as a learning point, not to bet on earnings. Two, if you know the power of rolling the position out, Yeah, it sucks to have that 9,000 essentially sitting on the sidelines, but I really feel it's really the best bet. The worst that happens is I'm going to be assigned those 100 shares. It's going to happen further down the road, and at that point I could also make a decision that maybe I will buy to close for a loss, but not today, in the future. So despite the debacle of ELF, I still was able to bring in some very, very decent premium for week 6 of the year. In fact, $2,498. That's how much I made this past week. That brings my year-to-date total to now $11,853 with a weekly average so far at $1,900. This is obviously way better than what I had hoped to make of $1,000 on a weekly basis, getting me to my $52,000 for the year goal. I hope you guys got some great information from this video. Do me a favor, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and we'll see you on the next one.